remains independent. Let's ensure that this House remains an independent arm of government that can offer checks and balances to the other arms of government, more so to the executive, and not necessarily.
Okay. Honorable Muyanja, about Robina Variomus.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to join other members of Parliament to second the motion. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank God that I'm privileged to be among those who are celebrating 100 years. I want to congratulate the Parliament of Uganda and the government of Uganda. But in a special way, Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate the female members of Parliament, including you. Because in 1954, up to 56, there were only 2 female representatives. After another 3 years, there were so many, there were only 6. That means the NRM government have done a lot to support gender and women. Well, Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate you in another way, because when I read the history, I can see you are the first female speaker. The other one was a deputy speaker. And having managed to steer the Parliament for 10 years, I pray for you that you continue for another term, and you made a record of 15 years, which I think no any other speaker has ever done it. I want to thank you for having a concern of your members, that you opened up schemes which can help members of Parliament not to starve after here. Congratulations to this Parliament, and I know Uganda will continue to succeed until we become a middle-income status. I thank you.
Honorable Abbott, Honorable Robina, then Honorable Yomusi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. All has been said, and I also congratulate myself and everybody here. I woke up and I think I'd forgotten that today was a very important day. And when I was passing around, I realized today was a very important day. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to say that in East African region, Uganda has become a learning center for the neighbors. Respect for affirmative action. First time we had a woman who was a vice president of this country. We are having you as a woman who is also the speaker of this country. And I also pray that we have more and more, so that the world knows that Uganda is a learning place for all of us. But what I would say, Madam Speaker, while all has been said, and we are reflecting on these 100 years, there is more that we need to study as Ugandans. What is the feeling of the Ugandans towards Parliament? Sometimes people demonize Parliament, and sometimes people think that we are people here who have come and maybe add ourselves salaries regarding a lot of work that we do. We should also reflect on violations of human rights, because as a Parliament we need to stand firm and stop all this. We should also, Madam Speaker, make sure that the parliamentarians are highly given all that they need so that the work can be done. I pray that CDF, which has also been scrapped in this country, should come out so that parliamentarians can do their work when they have something that can be done. And we should also take stock of all leaders in this country and feel how much they are feeling up to now. I also pray that members who are coming to the 11th Parliament, we have spoken and we have seen how we have been steering this Parliament. It is my humble prayer. We are not praying for nothing, but we are praying that it is only you who can make this institution to stand as an institution with respect an institution that can give its respect to the people. So I pray that the Almighty God gives you another term to steer this country as a speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Robina. Rakojo. Then Honorable Musi, followed by Honorable Chiwanda. Then Sempija will go down.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I take this opportunity to congratulate all Ugandans and yourself and the members of Parliament upon attaining this 100-year celebration. 100 years is something very great and that we should not take for granted. I remember vividly in school, during history lessons and during constitutional law lessons, that we were learning about the LegCo. And looking now and realizing that it's part of our history and has gone through metamorphosis and come to the stage of the Parliament that we are in today is amazing. I support the motion because of that and others. But I want to look at the women in Parliament. We know that Honorable Chisosonkole was the first woman representative. That conditions must have been very difficult at the time. But right now I want to celebrate the fact that the inclusion of women in the legislative process has been eased. I want to thank you so much for this nursery. I was a government servant and we used to have to combine our maternity leave with our annual leave, look after these children, but here members of Parliament can come and have their children here and think and legislate as they know that the children are safe. So when you balance that for them, you help them to think well. They have peace of mind. I want to thank also for the religious freedom that we have here. Members are of different religious denominations, but then we have time to pray, and Parliament has recognized and given us places where we can pray and even facilitated us in getting leaders. There are occasions that we have here where we have celebrations out here and in Parliament, and we have remembered God. Nothing is possible without Him, and I want to thank for that. I thank also for the provisions that have been given to members of Parliament to enable them to work in harmony and with peace of mind. You have provided for our health through medical insurance. We have the financial schemes, the Parliamentary Circle, the Parliamentary Pension Scheme. We have researchers assisting us to do our work. The clerks, thank you, Madam Clerk, and the rest for assisting us to make our work easy, training, and I would like to pray that the quality of our debates continues improving with the training that we get, the capacity building. My worry is also about the records. How are we going to continue preserving our records of Parliament? We are getting into, or we've got into an era where we have e-records, but we still really look.
Okay, Honorable Musi, then we shall bring in Honorable Mutebi on Zoom after Honorable Musi, then we go to Honorable Kiwanda, then Sempija Yomoki, then Kivaju Clement, and I move this side. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. I also stand here to support the motion moved by Honorable Muruli Mukasa, and I also feel proud to be part of the Parliament that is discussing 100 years of Parliament of Uganda. Madam Speaker, Parliament cannot be wished away in our current political environment. And Parliament is an institution which reflects the boiling point of the political temperatures of a country. And I want to salute the various parliaments, including the current one, for the work that has been done to shape the development and democratic process of this country. We have moved from far, from slavery to colonialism to where we are. Hearing that the first parliament didn't have Ugandans, and the current parliament is 100% Ugandan, is a very big milestone. although, Right Honourable Speaker, we still have a section of Ugandans who have a neo-colonial belief, thinking that problems of this country can still be solved by people from outside. I think as a country we have to reassert ourselves that the challenges, the problems of this country will be dealt with by ourselves as a country. Whether we make mistakes or not, we Ugandans shall continue to write our own history as a country. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you as the Speaker of this Parliament and the previous speakers for continuing to strengthen Parliament as an institution. I think the Parliament of Uganda has grown from strength to strength. But there are still areas which need to be addressed. Right Honourable Speaker, a section of the public thinks that this Parliament maybe consumes lots of resources of government of Uganda, which is not true. The Parliament of Uganda, when we budget, we give it less than 2% of the national budget. So it can't be true that we take most of the money. And the office of an MP needs to be strengthened, Madam Speaker. The attrition rate in the Parliament of Uganda is very high. Many members lose. Just in the last elections, we lost over 70% of the members of Parliament. And the question is why? One of the reasons is that the office of a member of Parliament has not been strengthened to enable a member of Parliament to play Speaker at the constituency level. Yes, we have strengthened the Parliament here as an institution, but when you get down, why are Ugandans voting out members of Parliament? Is it because we don't answer what?
Okay. Half a minute to conclude.
If I could complete it. I was a parliamentary commissioner and worked with you, and we benchmarked a number of countries. If I give you an example of Zambia, in Zambia they facilitate the member of Parliament to the extent that the government builds an office for a member of Parliament in the constituency. Government hires an assistant whose minimum level of education is a diploma to do research, to gather constituency issues, so that when you go in the constituency, you know what the people want. In many parliaments, including South Sudan, they have a constituency development fund. Members of Parliament spend all their salaries and emoluments to service a constituency. I think that should change. The next Parliament should explore areas like constituency development fund. We could use resources available in the country to use part of them to facilitate the work of a member of Parliament in order to have an impact at the constituency level, Madam Speaker. So all these issues should be looked at as we strengthen the Parliament, as we enable members of Parliament to do their work. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I was trying to do a computation. A section of Ugandans think this Parliament is very huge. At independence, this Parliament had 82 members of Parliament. The total population is estimated to have been around 7.2 million Ugandans. When you compute the per capita representation, then it was each member of Parliament representing 88,000 Ugandans. Today, in the next Parliament, the 11th Parliament is going to have 529 members of Parliament. The total population is projected now to be around 46 million Ugandans. When you compute per capita representation, it gives you 86,000 Ugandans. At independence, it was 88,000 Ugandans. Today, it is 86,000. So, is this Parliament bloated? If you use the population statistics, no. A member of Parliament per capita representation. So, my point is that, Madam Speaker, in the next Parliament, the Parliamentary Commission and the government should work together to strengthen the office of a member of Parliament for us as members of Parliament to deliver what the population expects from us. I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Could you bring in Mr. Honourable Matovu, Mutebi on Zoom, then Honourable Chiwanda, Sempija, and then I need to move this side a bit. I'll come back. Honourable Mutebi.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity you've given me to make my humble contribution to this noble motion. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you for steering this parliament up to this day when we celebrate a major milestone in the history of our country. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament is the epitome of democratic governance in any country. And it is very fortunate for us on this day to celebrate this milestone when we have a fully functional Parliament. Reflecting on our history, this country and our Parliament went through a lot of trials prior to independence, shortly after independence, and the years that followed, where Parliament could not exercise its mandate to the fullest. It is against this background that I wish to take this opportunity to thank the grandsons and daughters of this country who made enormous sacrifices to restore the sanctity of Parliament, on the basis of which Parliament has been able to legislate and deliver enormous development for this country. It is through this Parliament that we've been able to legislate for democratic governance. We have achieved immense successes in terms of effective representation of our people. We have achieved immense successes in terms of growing accountability. And above all, we have achieved a lot in terms of economic progress, as we are now on the way to achieving the middle income status. It is therefore my humble submission that we give this Parliament the consideration it deserves in order to continue delivering its mandate. I wish to support this motion and also appreciate the leadership in this country that has given Parliament the latitude to deliver its mandate to its fullest. I wish also to appreciate the various speakers that have provided that sound leadership, on the basis of which Uganda has taken the steps and the milestone it has reached today in terms of democracy and overall development. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kiwanda, then Honorable Sempija, followed by Honorable Kivaju, Honorable Obote Ongalo. Come this side.
Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to support the motion moved by the Honorable Wilson Mululi Mukasa to congratulate you, the Parliament of Uganda, for this milestone of having achieved 100 years of our service as the legislature. I came here in 2001, Right Honorable Speaker. You've been my speaker as a deputy speaker and speaker today of Parliament. I've seen the tempers, the flares in the House, but I want to congratulate you, the members of Parliament, and you, Right Honorable Speaker, and your colleagues. You've worked with the Right Honorable Edward Chiwanuka Sekandi, whom was my speaker in the 7th and the 8th Parliament, and whom you deputized, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank Ugandans for having trusted Parliament of Uganda. We've seen you receiving very many petitions from the public. That is a vote of confidence, Right Honorable Speaker. Because when you see members of public bringing their petitions, at times petitions which may not have been for Parliament, but when you see them bring them to Parliament, that's a vote of confidence to this august House. The only thing we want to call upon Ugandans is to understand our role as members of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, the understanding of Ugandans for members of Parliament, the expectations at times is too high, that at times very difficult to fulfill. And that's why you see the turnover becoming lower and lower. Today, we have less than 25% of members of parliament who made it to the 11th parliament. And this is because at times our voters don't understand, and the expectations at times are too high for the members of parliament. We want to thank you, Right Honorable Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, for the trying moment of this house. I've seen the trying moment of this house when I was in the 9th parliament, 10th parliament, 7th parliament, and I've seen, even after having such trying moments of time, we come together. I want to congratulate you, honorable members. And that has kept us, and that's what has earned us respect amongst the people of this country. Congratulations, members of parliament, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Sempija, then Honorable Kibaju, Honorable Obote. I'm moving here, I'm moving this side. Honorable Kibaju, I think you better move nearer.
Right Honorable Speaker, it's an honor for me to stand here to congratulate you, Right Honorable Speaker, the honorable members of the 10th Parliament, our leader of government business, the leader of opposition, and everybody for this wonderful achievement of 100 years of existence of our Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want once again to thank you for allowing us to say something on this day, and allow me also to thank Honorable Mululi Mukasa for bringing this motion. Right Honorable Speaker, as we congratulate ourselves today, I know that it's not the length of time or years that we are celebrating only. We are celebrating the achievements. And these achievements, Right Honorable Speaker, have been reached because of the wonderful stewardship of the speakers that have been here. And we are very, very thankful to God that today our head of parliament is Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. So we congratulate you. Our parliament is a reflection of best practices, and we are happy to be part of it. And personally, I'm happy to be part of the 10th Parliament. The Parliament of Uganda is a reflection of inclusion, a reflection of gender sensitivity, a reflection of political representation, democracy, and it is, I think, it's a very popular parliament which has attracted everybody to come in to stand for membership of parliament. I've seen most of the good things. I've been a member of parliament at the back bench, and I've also been in the executive. Allow me to say that where I am, I enjoy the support of parliament and Madam Speaker and the honorable members. Thank you for supporting my sector and also development of this country. My only call, Right Honorable Speaker, we are leaders. Wherever we are, we should use all the wisdom and knowledge that we have acquired in this country to unite our people. All our messages and the words that we talk in parliament and outside should really cause unity among our peoples. It is very important that we forge unity in this country, however the different views that we have in terms of political diversity. So that, Honorable, allow me to thank you again for allowing me this time, but thank all the members and congratulate them for reaching this day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Kibaju. Kibaju Obote. I've seen you. Kibaju Obote Aza, I come this side.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I support the motion. I join my colleagues in congratulating the executive, yourself, and members on commemorating 100 years of existence. The journey has been long, and I want to congratulate you and thank all of you who have contributed to various debates, and this far we have come. Right Honorable Speaker, in a particular way I want to congratulate the women members of Parliament, because they never were here before, but they are here and in great numbers, and I've seen them debate issues, stand for themselves, and stand for their fellow women. Right Honorable Speaker, while we congratulate ourselves, we represent the people. We represent the people of this country. And while we are there as members of Parliament, complaints come. We have achieved a lot, but a lot still needs to be done. The complaints we get, and which are a challenge to you, Madam Speaker, in the next House, where I think you will be a Speaker, is that most people complain that members of Parliament come to Parliament unprepared. They do discuss and research matters, and most of them are absent, especially the public is concerned that ministers are constantly absent from this House. And whenever they are called upon, Right Honorable Speaker, bear with me, these are the complaints we get from the public, and I believe it's our duty and my duty as we celebrate 100 years that we should discuss these matters. In a special way, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for steering this House. I've been in Parliament for the last 2 years. I've watched you. I've seen you sit in that chair. I've seen you exercise fairness. I've seen you exercise professionalism. I've seen your patience, Madam Speaker, and your resilience. And I cannot thank you enough, and I admire you. And I want to thank you for being the Speaker that you are to the people, to the members, and in a very special
Okay, yeah, half a minute to close. Just close. You can close. Half a minute, just close.
Okay. I can conclude. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was thanking you for what you have done. And I was reminding you of one incident when some madman fell on me in Parliament. People made fun of me. I had just joined Parliament. And they made videos, and they were circulating all over the place. But thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. You didn't castigate me, you comforted me. I thank you, and you're the Speaker. You'll be the Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Obote. Okay, Obote, Aza, Machori Omoki, and we close completely now.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I feel privileged, proud, and honored to stand here on this momentous day when we not only celebrate and commemorate 100 years of this Parliament, but this is also the first day of the next 100 years of this Parliament. Madam Speaker, when you took us through the list of the speakers of this Parliament, from Griffin to Patel to Rugumayo, Botagira, Yoweri Museveni, Papakabulo, Francis Ayume, to Edward Sekandi, and finally yourself. What struck me was that each of those speakers determined how the parliaments that they presided over is remembered. And when we think ahead to how this parliament will be remembered in 2121, when that parliament will be celebrating the 200th year, our strength that will be celebrated will depend on the strength of the speaker that we will elect. Honorable members, we stand at crossroads. We are faced with a very big challenge in the election of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker that will steer this Parliament as we begin the next 100 years of this Parliament. I want to urge you that history will look on us and judge us very harshly if we do not make that choice with care and concern for the future of this country and the future of this House. I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, for your stewardship of this House. You are the only Speaker I have known ever since I joined this House, and I am really proud and privileged to have served under you as a backbencher, as a chairperson of a committee. I became a chairperson of the committee when I knew very little about how to chair it and steer it, but through your guidance and your sympathy and your motherliness, you made me a strong chairman that I am today. This is what I hope that this House will look into very carefully as we think of where we want to move this House in the next 100 years. I am proud to be a member of this House at this time, and I hope
Asa Machori Moki, then I go to Centenary. This side. I'm coming. I've got you. You're here. Yes,
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance. As we commemorate 100 years of Uganda Parliament, I'd like to pay a tribute to all the past leaders, to all the past members of Parliament, as well as the legislative members, both those who are living and posthumously those who have passed on. I want to pay tribute to all of them. Since 1921 to 1962, Parliament has been sitting in Entebbe, and thereafter it was transferred to it has been transferred to KCCA Hall. And in 1962, it was transferred to where it is right now. And I want to feel proud and happy that I was born in 1962, exactly, the year Parliament was transferred here. So I feel proud and honored to be a part of this history. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you in particular for working hard in order to ensure there is East African community integration through sports. Since 2011, the Parliament of Uganda has been winning trophies in volleyball, in netball, in athletics, and so on and so forth. And you have been the one leading this team to wherever they are going. That is in Bujumbura, in Dar es Salaam, in Nairobi, and so on. You are working hard for the integration of the East African community through sports. Madam Speaker, Article 119, subsection 1 of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community provides for the partner states to promote close cooperation amongst themselves in culture, in sports, with respect to the promotion of all sports and cultural activities in the East African community. And I would like to report to you that in 2017, the theme for the 8th East African Community Games that took place in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, from 1st December to 11th December 2017 was integrating citizens and strengthening interparliamentary relations through sports. And you were number 1 on that delegation. I have the record here. Congratulations to you, Madam Speaker. What happened there? In athletics, men got gold. Women got gold. Tug of war, women got gold. In walking race, silver. Netball, gold. Football, gold. Golf, gold. Women golf, also gold. So, I want to thank Parliament through you, Madam Speaker, that continue with the integration process of the East Community member states through sports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Macho, and then Yomoki. Then I go to Centenary for the Centenary.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the mover of this motion. Madam Speaker, I want to celebrate together with other Ugandans for our Parliament having made 100 years. Madam Speaker, whereas we make 100 years, there's a big question which you deliberated on well when you gave the whole country the names of the speakers who have steered this House. I'm proud to be part of the history to celebrate the 100 years, but the celebration that I am celebrating of, the thanks goes to you too, as the driver of the Parliament of Uganda when we are celebrating the 100 years. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you that I am born on the border of Kenya and Uganda. And sometimes I cross from Busia, Uganda to Busia, Kenya, to Uganda enjoy with my colleagues who are senators in Kenya to have nyama choma. But the brand you have built for us as the Parliament of Uganda makes me always very proud. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for the brand you have built for this Parliament, the brand that has brought unity among all the 3 arms of government, the brand that has made the Parliament be a voice of the voiceless, the brand has made Parliament to be the voice of the grassroots people. And Madam Speaker, that makes us to be one of the best parliaments in not only East Africa, but in the Sub-Saharan Africa and Africa at large. Therefore, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the staff too, because a brand is made with a group of people. And Madam Speaker, with that brand, that's why I keep praying to God these days, day and night, that God may you allow the brand that Rebecca Litwala Kadaga has built in these 100 years continue. And I think when it will continue, our Parliament will continue making a name. And Madam Speaker, through that prayer, I'll pray even with action, that I'm one of the people who will vote for you in the 11th Parliament. The fact when you don't contest, some of us shall drag you to courts of law because of the good brand you have built for the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Madam Speaker, at the same time, the welfare of Parliament of Uganda in the 100 years, I think we lead by example in the East African Federation. And I pray that this should continue, because when leaders are comfortable, when leaders are happy, Madam Speaker, they lead their people very well. I therefore want to thank the mover of the motion, the ex-minister, that the fact you have done the best thing. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Honorable Yomoki, the Honorable Centenary. Is the minister, is still a minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion. We mark this milestone as Parliament in a special way and a high tide, given the contributions by honorable colleagues who have contributed and testified to the strength and to the goodness that has come out of the various seasons that we have passed through as Parliament. Many times we can celebrate a milestone with a time when things are not doing well, but I thank God and I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for presiding over this particular moment when the House and the Parliament is proud of the progress that has taken place in systems and various areas. I joined here, Madam Speaker, about 25 years ago, and at that time Parliament was weak. We didn't have assistants, we didn't have many things, and I've seen the last 25 years Parliament growing to this level. So I really want to thank you as being part of the people who have made this Parliament to grow. And I know, Madam Right Honourable Speaker, that you have enormously contributed, because in the last 25 years, I know what has been taking place, to the extent that even as we start the new century, the next 100 years, we have been prepared, because we already have a new chambers that is going which is being worked on to house the coming Parliament. So I think, Madam Speaker, you have stood the test of time. Even the way you presided over this time of the COVID, it was so good. Most of the institutions could not continue, but as Parliament will continue in an arrangement that has really stood the test of time. I just want to stand here to thank the people of Uganda, and especially the NRM government, for having allowed us special interest groups to be in this House, because this Parliament, I think, is the only Parliament in the world that has special interest groups. To the extent that some of us, Madam Speaker, would maybe never have been in Parliament, because for me in 1996, I was enjoying myself outside doing masters when I got an angry email. Workers demand that I come back, and if I don't come back, I should never come. Because I never thought of being a member of Parliament. So I had to come, and when I came, I had to remain around for the last 25 years. So you can see that I continued with the work which I had not thought I would be. But I want to end on a good note. I have seen I have seen colleagues a lot of fear that the storm is coming concerning your Right Honourable Speaker. But for me, I think it's a good way, because there are only two schools of thought which is a vote of confidence. Some saying the Right Honourable Speaker should remain as Speaker, and others saying he becomes the Vice President. And for me, all those are very good. It means there is a vote of confidence. Yeah, no one is questioning that the Right Honourable Speaker has presided very well. So for me, I'm very proud of you that we have had a Speaker who has presided over this season and whom all of us enjoy. And therefore, we only ask you, Right Honourable Speaker, to pray that God allows you to take up one of those positions, because you never know, it might end up like the current situation in Tanzania. So sometimes don't fear, just pray and ask God whether to remain or to take up the other one. You never know what God wants. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Now Centenary. Centenary will be followed by Honorable, now what?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Is that Emmanuel Onyeto? Okay.
For giving me this opportunity
Then I come like this. Yeah, I'm coming.
to be part of the deliberations commemorating the first ever centenary celebrations of legislation of the Parliament of Uganda. I am humbled to be here, and I would like to first of all thank you for the good leadership you've offered. When I was listening to the genesis of this Parliament from a court somewhere in Entebbe, and now to almost a brand new chamber that is going to accommodate about 600 members of Parliament, I look at real steady progress, and especially the progress that is associated with a mama I was raised by a woman, and I'm proud of these mothers here, who has also given us an opportunity to, first of all, be confident in whatever we are doing, because this parliament has been faced with a lot of storms. The military invasion of the chambers, the numerous attempts to overthrow our constitution through various amendments, some of which are not even necessary. But we have tried our level best under your stewardship to ensure that the will of the people is protected and respected. This can be manifested through the attrition rate. Actually, the attrition rate of Parliament is a reflection of inclusive leadership, because this is the only institution of government which is so attractive that everybody wants to come and be part of. Meaning that whatever happens here is so attractive to the citizenry, and they all want to be part of these processes. Perhaps I would advise, as we celebrate the 100 years, that our separation of powers is still wanting, especially where the executive is so much interested in meddling in the affairs of the legislature. They should stick to their arm of government. It is not by mistake that this government is constituted of 3 arms, and therefore each arm of government should be respected and allowed to conduct its business with all the due respect and immunity it deserves. Uganda has come from far. Even when we are talking about...
Okay, now what? Honorable Ongeto. Then we have Honorable Muiru Amai Ogwar. Then I'll get the group in the middle. I've seen you all. Honorable members, it seems really you should just do this business for today. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. And I would like to thank God that I'm among those celebrating this occasion today. And I would like to thank all the speakers of Parliament, the members of Parliament, and the technical staff who have served this country from the time of inception of Parliament up to date. Madam Speaker, the Parliament of Uganda is a people's parliament through the various activities. Madam Speaker, in 2018, you introduced the Science Week. I'm a member of the Science Committee, and members must have seen the innovators coming here. And following that, Madam Speaker, Parliament passed a loan. Parliament passed the Innovation Fund. Just recently, we moved around to see what that fund was doing. And we saw that the innovators are really put that money into good use. Madam Speaker, the Parliamentary Week is a very good idea. It engages the Parliament, it engages the public. I took off one time in one of the Parliamentary Weeks. I watched the people, the way they were electing their speaker. Then later, they were in their house. I watched them on the screen debating contemporary issues. Madam Speaker, that motivated them. And most of them later on even went to stand to vie for leadership positions at various levels back in their homes. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you for your hard work, your leadership skills, and your lobbying skills. I remember in the 9th Parliament, when I joined, there was no parking. Members would park outside, and our vehicles would be vandalized. You planned for this parking, Madam Speaker, where all our vehicles are being parked safely. Madam Speaker, it is because of the hard work and your lobbying skills that this Parliament was able to host the recent CPC. And there was another one that Parliament of Uganda hosted in the 9th Parliament. All that is because of your lobby skills. And that brings credit not only to you, Madam Speaker, but to the Parliament of Uganda. And I would like also to thank honorable members for being supportive to each other. I remember one time I went with colleagues to my village, irrespective of their political shades. They accompanied me to my district where the Honorable Minister did testify that there are no radios. Madam Speaker, I was there with Honorable Semuju. I was there with Honorable
Important point. Half a minute.
So I was there with Honorable Chitata, among others, and we passed on information to the people, updating them about government programs and also talking about FGM, because we had been talking about it, but of course they were not seeing the seriousness. But when they heard from other members of the Parliament, they realized that Parliament is one. And I pray, Madam Speaker, that this continues. The issue of taking Parliament to the people should be reignited, Madam Speaker. When you went one time to Moroto with honorable members, when you came back, you were able to update the country about the concerns of the members. And this was to the attention of government. And some of the issues were consequently addressed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ngeto. Then Wamai, Muiru, Ogwar. Then I'll get the people in the middle. I've seen you. You're on my list. You're all here. Don't worry. I've seen Mbaju. I've seen Savagara. I've seen Gutamoy, Triamuhweza. I've seen you. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I'm here to support the motion. And I must say I'm also very happy to be part of this celebration. Madam Speaker, for once I want to be the devil's advocate here. As we start 100 years, the next 100 years, we need to be more honorable in terms of the way we join this Parliament. Because, Madam Speaker, I must say, today, when we talk about the laws, some of the laws, they are so weak that there are people who rig their ways here and they stay here, and even when court throws them out, they virtually go scot-free. For me, if our laws, 100 years coming, our laws should be such a way that if you are thrown out because maybe you have rigged, you have done something bad, you should be able to pay back our salary and emoluments. That will make it strong, and that will make it difficult for people to manipulate to come here. There are people, for instance, who still come to this Parliament because they have been supported by security agencies. That shouldn't be the case. People should come here because of the will of the ordinary people. And because of that, I think as we start 100 years, we need to start with stronger laws that will ensure that this house is respected and we are more honorable. Because sometimes in the eyes of some people, they think we are honorable because we are already here, but otherwise in terms of our actions, in terms of how we came here, we shouldn't even be honorable. So that is my point that I think we need to look at. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Wamai Muiru, Ogwar, Sevagara, Triamuhweza, Augon. Oh, I've seen you. Muhindo, I've seen you. Ongo, Ausege, at the back there. I've got all of you.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. Madam Minister, Madam Speaker, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I take the floor to support the motion moved by Honorable Mururu Mukasa. Madam Speaker, I want also to congratulate you for being in the chair when we are celebrating 100 years of legislative work in Uganda. I want also to congratulate members who are here, who are in the 10th Parliament, and we are here on this historical day when we celebrate this day. Madam Speaker, when you read the message from the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, I was touched simply because Uganda is respected as a country, and respected as a country because of its deeds or whatever we do. And all this has gone through the 100 years, through the previous speakers who were in that chair. They managed to steer the house, and Uganda kept on moving until we reached this age of 100 years. I want to congratulate all those first members of parliament, men of integrity, men and women of substance, who have kept Uganda going. Now, at 100 years, and for the members of parliament who are here and those who are coming in, what is the role of a member of parliament? That's what you should look at. And to be able to carry out the role of a member of parliament, you must have a strong leadership in the chair to be able to do your work as a member of parliament, to legislate, to pass laws, and do the oversight, to make sure that you stand strong as members of parliament, and check government, to carry out the democratic roles of government. The human rights, those are some of the things you should do. And when you pass these laws, look at the people who elected you to come to parliament, because they're the ones who brought you here, and the laws should be in the interest of the people. You should look at what the Ugandans want, and that's what you're going to be remembered for. So talking about all these things, the most important thing is the people who brought you here, and your role as a member of parliament. Look at that one, which is very clear. Oversight.
Okay, Honorable Mwiru, Honorable Bwala, Sobagala, Tuyamuhweza. I've seen you. I've written all of you. I've written.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister, my good friend Mululi Mukasa, for the motion, and I rise to support the motion. Right Honorable Speaker, we commemorate 100 years at a time when all efforts to debase Parliament have been in offing. When you look at the composition of Parliament, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, you will agree that actually the challenges of one becoming a member of Parliament have been more met by the mobilizers out there than the actual politicians who would come to put issues to do with the population at hand. Right, Honorable Speaker, that even poses a challenge. Even as we talk, the public has confidence in Parliament as an institution, basing actually on the individuals of all people who are in Parliament. I'll give an example, Honorable Speaker. When I joined Parliament, I had the benefit of serving on Public Accounts Committee. And whenever the public actually was wondering whether Parliament will deal with issues to do with graft or corruption. But whenever you'd been chair, Honorable Speaker, the public had the confidence that actually were determined to fight corruption. One time, Honorable Speaker, I was thrilled by your firm stance on ensuring that some of these Public Accounts Committee reports get on the order paper. Because the talk was all over that these serious reports will not ever see the light of day, they will never get on the order paper, because the mafias had infiltrated the government and they will never find themselves there. Honorable Speaker, you presided over very controversial reports to do with Dura, with the compensations, and at the end of the day, actually, these reports, their recommendations were adopted by Parliament. I want to thank you for that. Honorable Speaker, as we commemorate 100 years today, the public out there are looking toward seeing parliamentary resolutions move from being advisory to government to become mandatory. Because what is the essence of us sitting here as Parliament? We take resolutions which are only advisory to government. Honorable Speaker, for instance, I am of the view that the recommendations or resolutions of Parliament arising out of Dr. General's report should be mandatory to government but not advisory, because I am of the view that they arise out of the Appropriation Act. When we appropriate money to government, we appropriate by an act. We appropriate by an act of Parliament. Therefore, any recommendations arising out of Dr. General's report from Parliament should be binding on government, and government must implement those recommendations. Short of that, Honourable Speaker, I see a challenge that the public out there will have a lot of confidence in the individual presiding over the House, but they want to see their recommendations implemented. I beg to submit, Honourable Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Gwal. Then Sevagara, Triamuhweza, Osege, Butamoi, then I get the group here. I've seen you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. Just looking at me, you know that there's a bit of history associated with me, so I would request right from the start, Right Honourable Speaker, that the technicians controlling the microphone will be mindful of senior citizens. Right Honourable Speaker, indeed today is a day to celebrate. We celebrate because of where we are. And that's why they say sometimes we don't have to look backwards to know where we have come from. Because if we are to apply the history to what we are discussing today, we will not be using the word celebration. Because, Right Honourable Speaker, the British colonial government put in place the first Legico in the year 2020, and of course the first Parliament set in March 21. But what was the composition of that Parliament, and what was the purpose of that Parliament, and how relevant was it to Ugandans? So, Right Honourable Speaker, that's why when you look back, sometimes you have to rethink whether we are in a celebration mood or we are in a condemnational mood. For me, I want to say it is good the Lord has taken us thus far. So I would want to chop up our history concerning Parliament into three. Let's forget about the post-independence segment of this Parliament, because there was nothing relevant as far as our country was concerned. Your colleague, Right Honourable Speaker, your predecessor, I think it was a British man called Robert Corridon. Robert Corridon was also the governor at the time. So Robert Corridon was getting instruction and information from Whitehall and bringing it to the legislature, made up of 7 British citizens, which was the Parliament of Uganda then. So, Right Honourable Speaker, you wonder, what are you celebrating? Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker, of course, slowly by slowly, the membership improved, and I believe that that's when the pressure for formation of parties and struggle for independence started. Right Honourable Speaker, I pray that this Parliament one day should document the role that the Bataka in Buganda played. It seemed to be lost in the history, but the Bataka played a critical role in the formation of pressure groups that made it easy for us to break through the pressure for independence. Right Honourable Speaker, post-independence Parliament definitely has been able to lay the foundation for democratic development, which many of us are products of that effort. And we need to thank our forefathers. We need to thank the late Milton Obote, Benedict Okiwanoka, the same Ogeres who are still alive, and our founder fathers who actually negotiated our independence. We did not have to shed blood, but the people in the Legico had the heart of Uganda. They were willing to sit down and negotiate. And I think that's the spirit we should never allow to get lost in Iceland. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I remember the earlier Parliament with a lot of pride because it did not lead us to shedding blood in order to get independence, but instead our independence was properly negotiated. Although I do agree that the management of the unfulfilled agenda was not properly done, and that of course culminated into disaster which happened in 1966. Those are issues that we regret, but of course we have had so many fractures around associated with our history. Right Honorable Speaker, having the military junta of Idi Amin completely wiping out the legislature crippled Uganda, because then nobody was there to plan for the development, to plan for democracy, so everything collapsed. But we thank God that the post-Idi Amin era was able to put in place some structures, democratic institutions, political parties, and the dynamism of the NGOs that has burst forth the multi-party democracy. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to say that a day like today, we should have invited the former clerks of Parliament to be here. If Edward Ochoa is still around, Tandekwire are still around, they should have been here. If Francis Mutagira is still around, he should have been here. So I think, Right Honorable Speaker, this is a very historic event. We should have all celebrated this particular day. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to leave just one message. We are moving to the 11th Parliament, and let nobody go out of this Parliament thinking that Parliament has contributed nothing to the development of our democracy, of our economy, and so on. Right Honorable Speaker, I was here right from the making of the Constitution, and I must say, history has proved men wrong. I'm sorry to emphasize that, because when I entered the Parliament, the 6th Parliament, of course the Constituent Assembly, we couldn't sit in Parliament because we were too large. We had to sit in the Nile Conference Center. But Right Honorable Speaker, we had still the British structured parliamentary chambers, too squeezed for hundreds of members. A chamber was built for just a few members. If you remember, by 1961, I think there were only 78 members. And 1962 Constitution, I think they probably might have reached 100, I'm not sure. But you can imagine that structure of parliament is what I found. And we remain with that structure until, by God's grace, we got some woman who told the people who were actually encroaching into our own premises. You can imagine you have to borrow your neighbor's home to accommodate your children when the extension of your home is being occupied by other people. So this woman, behaving like a woman should behave, who cares for her children, said, "Excuse me, sir, this is part of my building. Can I have it? Because my children are crying." Right Honorable Speaker, the tenants, those who occupied the north wing of Parliament, were policemen with guns, but they had to leave because it was a demand of your rights. And then the eastern side was occupied by the judiciary. In fact, I remember one of the ministers, Sam Juba, had an office in the eastern wing. This woman humbly went to the ministry and said, "Excuse me, this seems to be part of my building. And my children at that time, the children of this lady at that time, were carrying their files on the streets to come to Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, who doesn't know that the Attorney General's chamber had to move from the eastern wing and the northern wing, part of Parliament, parliamentarians, really. Can't you see that? The power of innovation which came to this Parliament. So we were able to transform from the British character to our own African culture. We marry many women, we have many children, we create space for them. And a woman saw that. And not only did we do that, we came when we had only 5 floors. 1 floor was blown up, and now we have 6 floors. How did it come about? Many of us had our vehicles vandalized on the streets, and we had a revolution. We had to create parking lot down in the basement. Who doesn't know? Who hasn't been to that basement? This basement has been with us since the British time, but nobody ever thought we could make use of it. So really, members, do we know what we are talking about? This Parliament and the leadership that be have really transformed the legislature, not only in terms of legislation, speaking English and so on, but even structural development. Parliament is dynamic, and we have even changed the mission and the vision of the current Parliament. And some of you may ask, what? If you have not read it, and you are a member of the 10th Parliament, before you leave, please read it. We changed the mission and the vision of the Parliament of Uganda. Transformational Parliament. A pro-people Parliament. We have to change our vision. What are we looking at? Somebody was saying, let's make it a pro-people Parliament. We're already doing it. I personally, with the first Deputy Prime Minister, we were in Arua to conduct Parliament in Arua. Some of you went to West Nile. I wasn't able to Karamoja. I wasn't there when Parliament went there, took the entire Parliament there, and they planted trees. We want to make it a pro-people's Parliament. It is already there. It is already documented. It is in our Parliament Strategic Development Plan. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate the 10th Parliament. In case you don't allow me to speak again, you have done a great job, and I believe that the 11th Parliament will recognize the infrastructure which has been put in place and know that we are not just a member of Parliament, as some of us think that we are just there to pick money. Some of us have never picked money. Before some of us came to Parliament, we were multi-billionaires, and when we came here, we became paupers. But for me, it doesn't matter. I know that I have added a brick to the development of this country. So I don't care what I've lost. But definitely, we have done something. Together, we'll remain strong. Together, we'll transform Uganda. Together, we'll stand united. God bless Uganda.
Thank you, Senior, for that submission. Odawusevagala, 3 minutes. Triamhweza, Butomoi, Osege, Muhindo, then I come this side. I've seen you all. We'll all speak. We'll all say something.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a lot has been said, and I'm also going to concentrate on the 20 years I've been in Parliament, because I'm also celebrating 20 years. Out of the 100 years, I have 20 years, and others have more than that. Madam Speaker, we must thank you for what you have done as far as improving the welfare of members of Parliament. Madam Speaker, if you can recall, when we used to travel, or when we are going to travel, remember, honorable colleagues who were with us in the 7th Parliament, we were being cleared by the office of the Prime Minister, and going outside, you must go and be cleared by the office of the Prime Minister. Remember how we used to get our payments. You went to Bank of Uganda, you get it cash altogether. That is where we have come from as Parliament. Now, Madam Speaker, when it comes to religious institutions, Madam Speaker, we came here where we don't have any mosque, any prayer room, but out of your good leadership, we managed to get a prayer room, and even our counterparts, the Christians, are now also having their prayers being conducted, so that we can conform to our motto, for God and my country. Madam Speaker, finally, Madam Speaker, out of the 100 years, I believe that we don't see, or we don't have any female speaker. I stand to be corrected. It's only you, out of the 100 years, we have only got Honorable Rebecca Kadaga as the speaker out of 100 years. So as we begin the new 100 years to come, where I believe none of us will be here, let Honorable Kadaga lead us in the next phase, so that we can begin our new phase with a lady in the names of Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Triamhwesa, Gutamoi, Muhindo, Osege. Then I get the group here. Everybody, I've seen you all. Hajat Said, I've seen you. Is that Oseku? Okay. Okay. Are the general? Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it is indeed a pleasure and a good opportunity for me to make a statement on this 23rd day of March 2021 for the celebration of 100 years of legislation in Uganda. And I want to thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for being there for the members of Parliament, especially on matters concerning our voters back there. We have a lot to learn out of this history of Uganda's celebration of 100 years of legislation by acknowledging achievements made, challenges faced, as we reflect on the way forward. Indeed, we have registered legislative achievements culminating in the promulgation of the Constitution of 1995, which we are using to carry the country forward. And that was a great work done by Parliament. This Parliament has defended the Constitution to ensure that assumption of leadership positions from local government level to the presidency is through elections, the quality of elections notwithstanding. Right Honorable Speaker, in Uganda, as in many other developing countries, voters, many of them living in poverty, expect their MPs to deliver development to their constituencies rather than demanding that they play an effective role in terms of legislation and oversight. Right Honorable Speaker, as we celebrate 100 years of legislation, we continue to yearn for accountable legislation to promote sustainable good governance. I would like to suggest, Right Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, that apart from legislation, could we probably create a budget as Parliament and make physical, memorable installations in at least every region of Uganda on achieving the 100 years of legislation in Uganda, if it can happen. Lastly, our Parliament should establish a system of fast-tracking the mutually responsibility of consulting, sharing information with voters, and giving accountability of the role to voters than the day-to-day handouts that the politics is being witnessed in this country. I support the motion for this celebration, and I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Gutamoi, Muhindo, and Usege. Then I come the group in the middle. Is that Mukitale? Atiku? Okay. Augono was somewhere there. Mbaju, I've seen you.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise up to support the motion raised by my honorable friend, Mr. Muruli Mukasa, on achieving these 100 years of legislation of Parliament in this country. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you
sincerely for bearing the fruits of this 100-year celebration with honorable colleagues, because this is a very rare opportunity which we have to welcome. We know the past, we know the current situation, and to me, we plan for the future. We have achieved a lot, as other honorable colleagues of mine has alluded, and that is no mean achievement, but adding more to what your past colleagues did, and you added, I think, the highest value according to my understanding, because what we have discussed, what we have seen, and what we know, I think nobody will add to that magnitude. And therefore, it is important that we celebrate it. We celebrate at a time, you can imagine, when we are no longer in the rails chamber, but we are in these big tents. That is another thing to celebrate too. Madam Speaker, I have only one thing to request you to present during this celebration. When I walked out, I met a group of petitioners from Akokoro. These are Chamshabu village, Yoliach Paris, Akokoro, sub-county Maruzi, county in Apaj district. A petition written to you on the 10th of this month, 2021, in which they are still praying that their conditions, since they prayed, they petitioned this parliament for the third time, and this is the fourth time, I think their case would be reviewed. Because they were sent out of their homeland, their properties were not compensated, and they are now just on the street in Akokoro. And they are not allowed to go even to farm in their former land. So please, Madam Speaker, I think today this is a challenge for this House to address this case, and I beg to lay this paper on the table for your attention. Madam Speaker, I wish you successful deliberation and then coming back to your seat, because I want to thank you sincerely again. You ably, when I invited you to go and have prayer service with my family when I met an accident, you ably went and sincerely you did a wonderful thing. Your name has been left on record in my family, in my constituency, and with my clan and clan leaders. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you. Honorable Muhindo, then Osege. Maybe Honorable Osege could move closer, so we don't need to take a lot of time. After that, we'll go to the center there.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. I really take this privilege and honor to be part of the team of legislators that are celebrating the 100 years. I therefore support while presenting the motion to celebrate. Right Honorable Speaker, 100 years is a long journey. We are part of the team and part of the system for a journey that was started by those that are living and possibly those that are not living. They have made tremendous contributions that we will keep on counting as achievements. It is therefore important that we continue becoming proud of these landmarks that we take as building blocks, because block by block we have been able to build this that we are celebrating. It is, however, unfortunate that history will make a record that we are also part of those who dismantled what we had built. A colleague mentioned that there is a very wonderful constitution that Parliament made for this country. However, we are also the ones that have started looking at the different parts of the Constitution and made a rewind of what had been made. How I wish that while we move forward, we really respect what is good for the country and leave it the way it is. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, selection in posterity. We have the method of selection of the legislators. It is really very unfortunate that the process has been commercialized and therefore does not give the opportunity for every Ugandan to be part of the legislators that will make the next 100 years. It would be important that this parliament and government looks at how we can have a method of selection that does not encourage this kind of commercialization of politics in this country.
Now, Osege, then we go to Aogon Mbaju. Osege, Aogon Mbaju, Okupa, Atiku. Yes, I see the general there. Honorable Saida, that is Oseku, and Honorable Taka, and Ariak is in the corner there. Okay. I've seen Viandara. Kafuza, we shall close with the Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to join my colleagues in congratulating us as the Parliament of Uganda, and including all those whose feet have stepped in this House as legislators or as civil servants in a bid to offer a service to this country. Right Honorable Speaker, we can't deny the fact that we have actually achieved as an arm of government. While it is good to thump yourself on the chest for achievements you have made, I think we should look at being excellent. We seek better standards. We can only do better if we look at where we are weak and seek to strengthen our weak points. Right Honorable Speaker, you know you sent us on an assignment as the Committee of Human Rights of Parliament of Uganda. And we just returned from Gulu on Thursday, last week. Right Honorable Speaker, it was very disheartening as we went to have lunch in one restaurant. We were met by a team of young people who had also come to have lunch in the same restaurant. But the comments that they had and the opinions they expressed about Parliament were very disheartening. They didn't know who was a member of Parliament, and they said, we hear members of Parliament are here having lunch. Now they are broke, they are looking for money. They are just coming out of campaigns. They are exchanging money because of the campaigns of Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, it hurt me. And I think that we need to work at correcting the image of Parliament in the eyes of the public. And that can only be done from what we do, what we say. What we brood in this House reflects on the opinions of the public out there. Right Honorable Speaker, we are looked at as a house of traders. For anything to work out, there must be an exchange of money or something of sorts. I think that needs to be corrected if we are going to continue on a trajectory that will make us proud and walk with our heads high as we walk on the streets of this country. Madam Speaker, also note with concern that the roles of Parliament are slowly being eroded in the eyes of the public. The public is viewing members of Parliament and this House as the legislature as something else that is not provided for in the Constitution. We have become ATM machines. We have become sponsors of various projects and programs. We have become all kinds of things in the eyes of the public. And it does not matter how much a member of Parliament will excel in this House. If they do not act as an ATM machine, they have not performed. I think our PR needs to be heightened.
Just conclude that.
That needs to be corrected and heightened so that we are viewed differently and members can have the time to do their work and concentrate on their work. And Right Honourable Speaker, also the issue of accountability. We are looked at as an institution that upholds accountability. I have been a chairperson of Public Accounts Committee, and I think we need to add some more strength in terms of the way we treat the reports of the Auditor General and reports from other accountability institutions. The country depends on us. The country is looking at Parliament. What fails out there, they look at us as a solution. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Augon, then Mbaju, then I think I saw Atiku, Ukupa, there was Katuntu there, Kuraije, Oseku Ariek, Hajat Saida, then we close with the leader.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. As a Parliament, indeed we have walked such a long journey. Before we even talk of 1921, Right Honourable Speaker, our history, if you talk of 1884 as Africa, we had a situation where some people decided to sit in Berlin, in Germany, to decide on how to partition this little land or this great land. Madam Speaker, in 1902, Uganda was declared a protectorate. Legico came on board around 1921. 1945, we had the first blacks, Africans joining the Legico for our situation here. There is a lady that I'm told of, Honorable Lubega, somebody, I don't know where she is. I don't know whether she's in Kampala here.
Florence is in the...
Florence.
Yes, yes.
Madam Speaker, I don't know what as a house we shall resolve today. Those are a part of our strong history, but we have not done anything to reconsider them. We have historicals of this house, people who have been the face of Parliament in most of these legislative assemblies. Madam Speaker, a person like Agrawori, and many to name, what are we going to do to such people so that they are remembered for the mark that they have left in this house? Madam Speaker, it's something that we need to consider. But away from sharing the history, because everybody has talked about it, allow me to talk about some proposals that I have in me. Number one, I would propose that, Madam Speaker, we create a committee, a special committee on libraries, archives, and museums. A committee that will help us to carry out oversight, serious oversight. We are talking of issues of enforcing legal deposits. UBC, for instance, here, our neighbors, are supposed to be keeping audio records, the videos. There's a lot of material that people are supposed to be keeping for us as an institution. But, Madam Speaker, are we sure these materials are there? Sometimes people own offices. When they are ejected or when they leave offices, they leave with this material. How do we protect this information? Today we moved around this Museum of Parliament. Without the team here extracting what we had there, what would we have for this tour? Madam Speaker, it will be a challenge. Therefore, first of all, I want to appreciate you. I think it was around 2018 when our commission decided to sit and say, let us have a parliamentary museum. Otherwise, we would not be having anything. By the way, that's something, another thing that is so big to count to your name, because we would not be having any sham for Parliament, really. I think it's a high time that we have institutionalized for every institution at least to have a strong mechanism of maintaining history in terms of having all these records. Madam Speaker, our laws are so weak in terms of keeping this information. We need now to revisit all the laws, like now the Historical Monument Act needs to be reviewed. Madam Speaker, the legal deposit law needs to be attended to. If we are to really have something that will help us. Individuals are struggling to keep awards, for instance. Footballers who get awards, athletes, they want to keep this as in individuals, but it's very difficult. How I wish people learn to institutionalize this kind of thing. It is much more better. Madam Speaker, I want to say something on sensitization. Ugandans don't know the value of keeping history. Sometimes, like now, you have seen challenges in Tororo. When we want to sort a problem in Tororo, we want to run to London. and ask the Londoners to give us information so that we sort out a problem in Tororo. We don't keep information. We don't keep records. We don't value monuments. So it is something that we must, as a country and a house, attend to. Our people who are here in the Museum of Parliament need to be strengthened. We need to pay them well. We need to give them strength in terms of money. We need to strengthen our Museum of the Parliament of Uganda, because this is the source of our history. And I want to thank you so much, Madam Speaker. We are at the no man's land, where we are now living the 100 years and going for the next 100 years. And Madam Speaker, it is better for a man to walk after it has rained, so that somebody can trace their footsteps properly, rather than move when it has not rained. It will be difficult to know where you have gone when you get lost. I thank you, Madam Speaker. That is from me.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, you know, I think we enacted the law on monuments, museums. I'm not sure how it is being implemented. Our organ has raised a very important point. I think our committee on tourism should take an interest in the implementation of that law, and there could be something we are missing. Thank you, Honourable Mbaju.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to make a comment on the day of commemorating 100 years since this Parliament started. Madam Speaker, I wish to add my voice on my colleague members of Parliament and the move of this motion, appreciating the achievements that this Parliament has made in the last 100 years. But also to recognize, Madam Speaker, that in the 100 years we have not only made achievements, there are mistakes that have been made, which are still happening now and which we ought or have to correct. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you and I agree with my colleague members of Parliament that it is important, beside what we do here, to extend Parliament to our communities. I had an opportunity of inviting you to my constituency, Right Honourable Speaker, and from that day you were there, the constituency has changed. If you could go to Busara Secondary School, which you visited, you can't believe the road which you went through. Government has provided over 15 billion shillings to tarmac that road, and the road is still going on to 63 kilometers. To that, I want to thank you, Madam Speaker. If a speaker alone could visit and we get that achievement, what would happen if Parliament visited? However, Madam Speaker, I would wish to recognize that in the 100 years, there are periods which this Parliament must regret. For example, the period when this Parliament was suspended from 1971 to 79, it is a period which we do not appreciate at all. There is a period where head of state was at the same time the speaker. That did not move well with the independence of this government, of Parliament. We also need to recognize, my Honourable Speaker, that 100 years of legislative activity in this Parliament, today we can celebrate these years when we have a member of Parliament who cannot walk because he was mistreated, injured and tortured in this house and is moving on crutches. Honourable Namboze today is still moving on crutches. Honourable Zake cannot turn his neck, yet he was beaten and injured doing his work in this Parliament. Madam Speaker, in the implementation of the laws we make in this Parliament, we still hear of a Chief Justice stealing a file of a Justice of the Supreme Court trying to implement the laws that we make in this House. This is an unfortunate. Madam Speaker, one thing. Madam Speaker, it is unfortunate, and the next Parliament and government must ensure that in the next 100 years, these unfortunate events must not surface again, such that we can build this Parliament and strengthen its purpose and mandate towards ensuring good governance. We have not had an opportunity of coming here to Parliament or somewhere else celebrating a president handing over power to another president peacefully. It has not happened. Yet we make laws here day after day. What we only hear are elections have been rigged, candidate wants to go to court, he is engulfed and detained in his home, he cannot have an opportunity to file all court documents. It is very unfortunate. However, the 100 years have not been in vain. The achievements we have made and the steps we have made gives me confidence that we can do better. I want to thank you. Thank you.
Honorable Okupa Atiku. I don't know where Katuntu is. Okupa Atiku. Okay. Hajat Saida. Taka Kuraijo Seku. Ariek. Okay. Uopa. I've seen Uopa there. Maybe those members could move closer so that we don't waste too much time. Honorable Seku, Brother Honorable Saida. Honorable Ariek, please move closer.
I want to thank Honorable Murule Mukasa, my good friend, for the motion, and I stand here to second the motion. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank the people of Kasilo County for having made me part of the 100 years, because for the 20 years of the 100 years, the people of Kasilo has kept me as their representative, and I want to thank them for that wholeheartedly. Madam Speaker, the good and bad has happened, but we celebrate the good and we build on the good things that we have seen and learn lessons from the bad things that happened over the 100 years. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you did a very great thing when you invited all members of Parliament since the Parliament of Uganda started. The President made a commitment that is going to give a handshake to former members of Parliament. To date, Right Honorable Speaker, speaking here, the President has not fulfilled. I know with the background I have that every financial year, the Parliamentary Commission meets His Excellency to discuss the budget of the Parliamentary Commission. May I appeal on their behalf that you remind His Excellency of that pledge. As I was seated here, I saw a message sent to me by former members of Parliament, one of which is the first woman by the legislature, one of the first, Francis Akelo from Teso. She needs government's hand. If we are celebrating today, if it was not for COVID, Madam Speaker, would have been also the right time to have invited all the former members of Parliament who have contributed to the legislature and to the development of this country. Madam Speaker, take that appeal from the members, former members of Parliament, such that the His Excellency fulfills, and you are the one who brought him and he made that pledge. You are waiting, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, how I wished that today, what we started when we were in the Parliamentary Commission, which has not been concluded, if it was today as we are marking the 100 years, we would have switched on parliamentary radio. Some colleagues may not be aware of that. Parliamentary residence. I'm not just speaking for you. The Clerk of Parliament. Public Service Ministry. What happened to the Clerk?
This is Auntie Jovita, your friend, your mother, your mentor, and someone who wishes you well. And here I am today, I am talking about a very sensitive issue. This is teenage pregnancy. Avoid it, it's bad. And you can avoid it in the following ways. Avoid watching bad movies. Avoid being in secluded places alone. Avoid moving out at night. Avoid going into people's houses because they have told you to come and have a drink. Try to listen to your parents. Try to listen to your guardians so that you avoid some of these things. Avoid peer pressure. Because your friends, because you've seen people in your community, because you've heard of people who have done it and they are saying it's okay. It's never okay. Many of these things are happening because you're idle. Make yourself busy so that you do not have things that derail you from your dream. Dress decently, and in case someone makes advances to you, report them to your parents, report them to your guardians. Don't feel sorry for them because you are saving your life. Teenage pregnancy is associated with so many things. So we can avoid them and we become better people and we stay safe and we enjoy our tomorrow. Stay safe, avoid teenage pregnancy.
This should be looked into.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles. MTN.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
Sinuk Uganda Limited, in partnership with Bunyoro Research Agency and Development Organization, BRADO, presents to you the Sinuk Q1 National Content Supplier Development E-Conference 2021 under the theme Strengthening Local SMEs for Effective Participation in the Oil and Gas Development Phase in Uganda. Panelists include Mr. Alex Byamkama, National Content Officer, Petroleum Authority of Uganda, Martin Byarhanga, Executive Director of Bunyoro Research Agency and Development Organization, Mr. Matthew Chaligonza, National Content Manager, Sinuk Uganda Limited, Engineer Fred Musinguzi, Chairperson of Bunyoro Business Club, Mr. John Walusimbi, Executive Director, Federation of Small and Medium Enterprises in Uganda, Ms. Sylvia Kirabo, Head, Marketing and Public Relations, UNBS, and moderated by Mr. Byencha Fred. The event will be live on UBC TV on Thursday, the 25th of March 2021 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Proudly brought to you by Sinuk Uganda Limited in partnership with Bunyoro Research Agency and Development Organization.
Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.